Did you want me to go get models?
Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah. Hey guys, how you doing? So I'm here with Adam, and we're going to start going live. I'm just going to share the link in a minute for those of you that are catching us right as we start. Let me try and find where this Hangout is being shared at.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, cool. Let me just find out where this is showing to, because
Can you see that?
yeah, definitely can't see it. Let me just find out where it's sending it to, because it's been kind of wonky right now. Ah. All right. So how's it been going, man? How's the Kickstarter?
It's going. It's going. Are you recording, or is it just for fun?
It's live right now. I'm just trying to find out where it went to, because I can't find it where it's broadcasting out of. But it's cool. Right now we're just BSing. And then it'll be live, so behave yourself. Just don't be crazy.
Woo!
Let me see. Where are we at? Here we go. For some reason it's not showing up where it's sending it to. It's broadcasting somewhere. I just can't figure out where.
Not sending call.
Maybe. No, that's not what I wanted. Where did it go? Maybe it's taking it a second to figure out where it went. Never had this problem before.
We had this problem last time we tried this.
Oh, okay, I found it. It went to the other channel. Okay. Okay, perfect. Let me just copy the link and paste it to all the places real quick, and we're good. All right. All right, man. So give everyone a chance to catch up. And
In this camera view, I don't look like Tom Cruise somehow.
well, I've been telling you that you got to work with that. It's just the only face you have. Okay, so for those of you guys just joining us, I am Will Selaz, Golden State Gaming Network, and I'm talking with Adam Rosenblum of Parallax. He is the creator, designer, and the driving force behind it. So I'll let Adam go ahead and introduce himself, give us a brief overview of the game, and let us know where he's at.
Okay, so, well, as Billy just said, or Will said, my name's Adam, the creator of Parallax. So what Parallax is basically it's a D10-based skirmish game. But unlike a lot of other games, where it's just skirmish, where you get pre-made characters, in this game you get to make your own characters and fight those. So it's kind of a hybrid between an RPG and a skirmish game. So that's the basics of it. Some of the other cool features are the fact that we don't use sort of like a you go, we go type of thing, and the fact that run, move, shoot, it's an exhaustion system. So your character gets exhausted as he does different items, and that also kind of changes the gameplay and the flow of the game.
Okay, so this is basically, you've been working on this game for how long now?
Well, on and off for about 20 years. It started out as yeah, I mean, not full-time, that's for sure. But it started out as a card game that a buddy of mine, Dan, and I worked on, Dan Weber, that we worked on back in '94. And then after that, a couple things happened, and it just kind of disappeared.
Okay, so some of you guys might know Dan Weber. He was one of the driving forces locally behind Malifaux, the 1.5, 1.0 and 1.5. So that's a pretty good name to have behind a game.
Yeah, it is.
So
yeah, Malifaux is a pretty cool game, and I don't want to make it sound like Dan's the driving force behind this, or I mean, Dan deserves all the credit in the world, but yet I don't want to just live off his reputation either.
No, that's true. Dan, but Dan did give some good insight to you. I'm sure he's
great insight and gave some great advice along the way. Showed me where I was going wrong, showed me where I was going right, and we continued building and going from there. So over the last 3-4 years, we've really been putting a lot of time and effort into making it the game we wanted it to be. The goal of this game wasn't just to make another miniatures game. It was to make a game that we would want to play, a game that grows with us, that we can take from one aspect of the gaming area to another area. So, I mean, most of us don't just play a miniatures game. We also play an RPG, a large-scale game, different board games. This, in eventuality, should be all of those, where you can take your character from the skirmish game, move it into an RPG game, and take that same character and move it into a large-scale game, still growing and learning with your character, but you never have to leave your favorite character behind.
Now, when you say you're able to move it up to a larger scale game, how large a scale are we talking here?
Like probably 40, 50 miniatures.
Oh, wow. So we are talking large scale game.
Yeah, we're talking like, if you think about miniature games, like Warhammer 8th edition type of large game, where the characters that we have now for the skirmish game are the really large characters, and those miniatures won't continue into the skirmish, into the large-scale game. Those would be smaller miniatures. But the large characters you're getting with this one would then be the general for the smaller ones. And then one of the other things we did for this game, which I'm not sure if we talked about or not offline, but you and I talked offline because we played it. But instead of going with a 28mm character, we went with a 35mm character, which gives it a little bit more bulk and height. The humans are 35mm, but the minotaurs are almost 4 inches tall. So,
yeah, those models. I mean, we were thinking the humans were going to be on the bigger side as far as mini games go, but the minotaurs and the other models that you have are gigantic by comparison to some of the tabletop models that at least I'm used to playing. I don't really play the big games with the large dreadnoughts or anything like that, or the transports. But for me, those models, I look at them and I just look at it in the amount of detail that you can see that you guys got out of those models that you can't get out of a smaller model, 28mm or anything. It's just phenomenal.
Well, that's one of the reasons we did with it too. Is we went it for 2 reasons. One is because there's only a few models on the table. A typical warband for this game is going to be 4 to 6 models. I mean, 8 if you're pushing it with some of the humans. But for the most part, you're going to go 4 to 6. So if there's only a few models on the table, it doesn't make sense to have small models. You want each model to be its own centerpiece model in and of itself. So that's one reason. And the second reason is the bigger models are just nicer to paint. You get more detail. We're not going with a plastic. We're going with a resin. So they're more customizable, but you're also just really pulling out that detail. Whereas if you go with the plastic models, you're losing a lot of that fine detail. So,
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the models alone, you can see details of fur, you can see wrinkles, you can see just the subtle imprints of the hands. It's amazing the amount of stuff that the paintability of these models is phenomenal.
so that one right there is the Minotaur, but it's the unpainted one. I have a painted one too. And then you can always go onto the Facebook page and see these also.
Yeah,
But, this is the Kayad, which is the dog model.
now you've got some of these models are really well painted. They're really awesome. Who did you get to paint them for you? Who's the brain behind the painting? Because I know you've got a couple different people that were painting them. I figured we'd give them a shout out.
We've got 3 different people painting right now. 3 really good painters. We've got Mary Prophet, who I consider our studio painter. He's the one who sets the tone and mood for most of our painting, which is awesome with Hamster Feed Studios. James Whippell has painted a few of our models too. So I'm not sure if you're following him, but if you're not following his blog, you should be. It's awesome. And then the local is Octave Villa. So he's also painting a lot of our stuff. So he did one of the demo crews, and it was really good.
That's cool. Yeah, it's great to have such a great community of painters involved with these models and kind of bringing out the details and helping show them off so much more. I mean, just plain unpainted, the models look phenomenal, but then you add that level of paint, and oh my God, they pop, literally pop off the table.
Well, and I can happily say that they do, and I can not just saying that out of pride because I'm the one whose models they are, but when you look at Mary's Place Gold with 2 different models, he won, what was it, Reapercon or something like that with one of them. James Whippell won something with his. I mean, they are award-winning models, which is nice.
Yeah, no doubt. Who did you have sculpt them for you? And as far as sculpting go, did you have a lot of input, or did you just kind of give an idea of what you wanted, and then the sculptors kind of went from there and produced just something amazing?
It was definitely give and take. We have Dennis in Germany, who's awesome. He's Savage Forge Minis online. We have Chris with Fire and Ice. We have Patrick Keith with Bombshell Miniatures. He also did a lot of work for Privateer and a lot of the other big name companies. Tim Berry's another guy. He's kind of new to this scene. He's been doing a lot of models, and he worked on the first Jurassic Park. So he's got some good guys. We're doing some really cool stuff. As far as the give and take, I mean, I had the idea of what the models were kind of going to look like, but I also give the artist the freedom to do what they want. So there is some give and take. Like Crystal doesn't want to put a tail on the cat, but there's going to be a tail on the cat.
That's funny. Okay,
Although,
so no, go ahead.
It still doesn't. It may not need the tail, but it's going to have the tail. Things like that. But it's pretty cool. But you did mention one other thing that was kind of important to me: community. I mean, we've both been in the scene in SoCal for such a long time. It's all about community. I mean, Malifaux, Privateer, DW, nobody would be where they are today without the gaming community behind them. And that's something we really want to build and believe in, that it's community that drives the game. The game has to be there, and it has to be a good game, but it doesn't matter how good a game is if the community isn't behind it. So we really want to foster that community however we can to make it sing.
And that touches about one of the things I wanted to kind of talk to you about was the community. Have you found that locally you found a level of success that you wouldn't have found if you tried to do this just strictly online without reaching out to the local guys and going to the events and knowing the people at the stores that we know and talking to people? Would you have found that level? Do you think that Kickstarter would be as successful had you not started kind of a grassroots?
Oh, heck no. Definitely not. I mean, it's the local community that's driving it. When you look at the numbers, I mean, it's funny that we've got such a big following in the UK, which is just shocking to me. But it's kind of like the UK and SoCal. It's kind of like a 50-50 thing almost now, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, the local community definitely funds it, and it's definitely helping me out. So I mean, we did Comic Quest, showed some demos there. Workforce Hobby showed some demos there. Kingdom Con, WonderCon, San Diego Con. This is a big one.
All the big ones. So, let's kind of stick on the topic of community right now. After the Kickstarter succeeds, which we anticipate it will, are you going to expand your presence at conventions or at events, or are you going to kind of strictly just keep doing what you're doing and just kind of allow yourself to select a few key conventions and events and areas to kind of grow from there and allow that to kind of have an organic growth? Are you going to try and spread yourself out a little bit more in the year that's coming, do more conventions, kind of attend more events outside of the local area and kind of plant those seeds yourself?
Well, Adepticon is something we definitely want to be at. That's the one con that we really need to be at is Adepticon. I mean, there's a couple others that I'd love to be at is KublaCon, which would be awesome. But KublaCon and Adepticon are probably my two biggest ones right now. Gen Con, although it's the mecca of all games, for small companies like me, I just get lost there. So.
Yeah, Gen Con seems like a lot of the homegrown games, the indie guys like you that have the dream that you're trying to make happen, going to the larger events is kind of pointless because you don't have the resources that the larger companies do, and you don't have the ability to have that presence that the larger companies do, where you're taking up not just a corner booth but 2 or 3 booth spaces to kind of dominate that corner of the convention.
But we won't even get a booth there. I mean, we wouldn't even eligible to get a booth there. With the new Gen Con rules, we'd be in a demo room somewhere in the Hall C, 3rd floor. But
well, you can always put a table in an elevator and do demos there.
And I probably would be. Well, I know you're outside waiting to get your cab. Want to play a demo? Come on, it's fun. They're big. It's fun.
But
first demo.
There'll be a gift bag. It'll say free comic book day, but there'll be a bag.
We'll say comic book.
So let's go into the game a little bit. You had some print and play stuff that I've got in front of me. That's what I've been looking at,
Cool.
which is starting to become a rarity in the gaming community that I've noticed. At least there's still a few Kickstarters that'll do it, but and yours I find actually to be one of the most cleanly done print and play setups that I've seen. The print and play rules that you have in the pre-made crew list that you have designed. Do you find the print and play helped people want to back your game, or do you find that it kind of, you think maybe you could have done without having to put that time and effort into it?
I think it's about respect. I don't know if we would have been better or worse without it, but I think when you're dealing with somebody and asking somebody for money, I think the respect is you show them what you're kind of going to get, or else why would they trust in you? I mean, anybody can say, I've got this great idea, follow me, back me. But if you're not going to back it up, I mean, words are just words. Unless you're willing to show what you're able to do, it doesn't mean anything. That's why we made models to start with. That's why we did the print and play. And the print and play is just really, and you can get online at parallaxminiatures.com. It's a quick start rule, which will get you started with an idea of how the rules work. It's 2 war bands, so that you can see how the rules work with the war bands, how the characters work, what the different parts of the miniatures are, the characters are. And then we also included contract cards. And contract cards are basically what you're playing for. In Parallax, you're not playing missions or scenarios. You're playing for objectives, basically. So when you start out the game, you're going to get 3 random cards shuffled to you. And you can either take them and say, yes, I want to play these, or you can hand them back. And there is a general mission on the table, too. If you complete them, you get points. If you don't complete them, you lose points. So you have to be able, there's a level of strategy there. Say, what can I do, or what can't I do, and how do I want to use it? How is my warband best set up to complete these? So, and then the warband isn't all of one fact. It's not like I have to have all minotaurs or all Hodgin, which are the elephants. You can mix and match however you want to make the best warband you can.
So for these contract cards, now you currently have 20 available on the print and play. Are these the final versions of what these are going to be, or are they going to be? Number one, are they going to be more than just these 20, or are they going to be? Are these completely independent of what's actually going to come in the game, or are these an idea of pretty much a finalized version of some of the cards that we're going to get?
Those are pretty much a finalized version of what you're going to get. There's actually going to be 40. I think last count I had was 48 cards.
Oh wow!
So,
are these going to be? Are they going to be standard card size, or what size are they going to be?
They're poker card size. So they're 2 by 3.5, I believe, is the standard poker size. So I don't have it in there. But yes, they're a standard poker card size. So if you take a poker card and glue it to it, you'd have it there. Those are just the ones to start you off with. And right now, even after we kickstart, again, it goes back to community and what you guys want. We're at a point now where we're good. But I don't want it to be good. I want it to be great. So all the mechanics work, all the rules work, all the factions work. But from after the Kickstarter ends till December, we're going to go to our final beta where people who can actually play it and give us feedback to make it the game they want to make it.
Okay, that's cool. So now as far as the cards, the for those of you that don't know, the character cards look like this. And they're going to be two-sided, if I recall correctly from the demo we ran. But yes. Are they going to have any more artwork this? I know these print and plays are always, bare minimum artwork, but you have a lot of work that went into these. Are these an idea of what the finished cards are going to look like, or are they going to be completely different from this?
No, that's pretty much the final version right there of them. We've gone through all sorts of versions of them to see how they work, with artwork, without artwork. And it went back and forth, but that was the one we felt best matched the game style. With enough readability that you have it, each card is a little bit different, so you can easily check the factions apart from each other. And there's enough size on there that on the back of those cards are player skills. And you can still have the skills on there to make them easy to read, which is important. And every character, because you're hand building your own characters, can be pretty detailed. But there's also personalities in the game, not just like you and me personalities, but like character personalities, which are basically pre-gen characters. So if you don't want to go through it and make your own character, you can use a pre-gen character and never have to work on anything you don't want to. You can easily just say, I want this one, this one, this one, and this one, and still play your game.
Now, for going back to sticking to these character cards for a second, the models, they all look a little different. Is each pose going to have a different character or a different personality type to it individually, or are all the Minotaurs going to be Minotaur the same, similar, and the Hajin the same, and the Kayeds are all going to be they're all the same, or are they each pose going to have its own personality attached to it?
The model's the model. I mean, I hope in time we can get like 50 or 60 models, 80 models. But right now, with budget and everything else, we've got only a few models. So it's going to be, this is your Hodgin model. Right now, we have 2 Hodgins, 2 Minotaurs, 2 Cat guys. We're going to have basically 2 of each faction. 2 Devoid, which are the human barbarians, and 2 Tyr, which are the human mages. So we'll have, at the end of that, 12 models. Right now, we've got 10 plus the Ogre, which is 11.
Oh, that's right, the Ogre. Is the Ogre actually going to be available for this Kickstarter, or is that just a completely independent model on its own?
I haven't put it into this Kickstarter because I feel it cheapens the other Kickstarter to put it into it. The people who backed the first Kickstarter were really nice. They backed it and they got a great model out of it. But I feel that they paid to have that done. So if I do it into this one, it feels like it cheapens it right now. So it may be an add-on at some point, but it's definitely not one of the models people can just buy that as part of the Kickstarter. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. For those of you that don't know, I should have mentioned this in the beginning when we started, but we had some technical difficulties, and I haven't done the Google Hangout in a while. So Adam has done more than one Kickstarter. He's no noob when it comes to Kickstarter. He's actually run 3 now.
3. This is my 3rd.
This is his 3rd.
Hopefully with this one we'll have 2 successful ones.
So, well, I think, you know, I'm almost certain that this is going to be a successful one. But for those of you guys that don't know, Adam he ran a Kickstarter for the local gaming convention, Ogre. That was SoCal's premiere, and that was your first one, right?
Yeah, it was. We changed SoCal SmackDown to Ogre, and that was the first one to get funding for the convention. We missed that one by about $1,000.
So that one came real close.
Yeah, the second one was for the Ogre, which we overfunded, and we actually hit stretch goals, which was great. Taught me a lot, and we also delivered early. So not only did we hit above and beyond, but we also delivered early, which was the goal. The customer service, make sure that not only do we fund, but we make sure we give you everything plus some, and then doing that. So that taught us what we need to do for the 3rd one, which is the Parallax game. So the Ogre that people bought from the first one is actually one of the scenarios from the contract cards. So
that's
so
kind of awesome.
It definitely is. It builds on each other, which is what we wanted.
So for those of you guys questioning whether or not to back this Kickstarter, if Adam has the experience to run and deliver a Kickstarter, this guy has seen both sides of the coin on this particular model of crowdfunding. He has seen the heartache and the joy that comes out of running a Kickstarter. So for those of you guys questioning whether or not he has the experience to run it, he has got the experience to run it.
Thank you. Hope so.
So
I mean, I know something. I mean, yeah. After this much time and effort, but yeah. And also, I mean, this Kickstarter didn't happen overnight. I mean, even though we were planning it for a long time, I mean, it went back to the drawing board a few times just to make sure that we get the price right, the timing right, the models right. I mean, it was a roller coaster before it started. So it's a cool roller coaster, but it was a roller coaster before it started for sure.
I think I was hounding you since since actually November of last year to get the Kickstarter going. Adam, you got to get the Kickstarter going. Adam, get the Kickstarter going.
And Adam kept saying, no, it's not ready yet. It's not time. And
maybe in a week. Maybe next month. Wait, we got to go back.
But we did that to make it better. I mean,
yeah.
We did that because it was like an issue here, an issue there, where combat wasn't moving as smoothly as I wanted it to, or something wasn't happening between the races, where we used to call them races, now we call them factions. Something wasn't happening between the factions that should have been happening. The backstory wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. I mean, the goal is to put out a great game. The goal is to put out a mediocre game right now. It's to put out a great game when we can. So, again, it goes back to the respect of the customer.
Which I think in the end is going to work out for you, because this summer, as many of you know or you may not know, this summer was kind of a cluster for doing anything because of the fact that you had Anime Expo in LA in July, at the first weekend of July. You had San Diego Comic-Con literally 2 days after that. And then a week and a half later, you had Gen Con happening. So you had 3 major conventions that draw well over 100,000 people each, hitting within the same 4-week period, which was ridiculous. So funding a Kickstarter at that time was going to be a crapshoot. So I think, being the perfectionist that you are, you kind of struck gold hitting at the end of a big con month.
Well, we were going to run it in the middle of July, and I'm like, oh, crud, Gen Con moved. Shoot.
Comic-Con moved.
Everything moved, and I'm like, no! So, it's all good.
Yeah, I think that worked out for you. So, let's go back to the print and play, the rules. The quick start was something that we used when I was helping you out at WonderCon and stuff. For those of you that don't know, for full disclosure purposes, I am backing Adam's Kickstarter. I have seen it before. I have run a couple playthroughs with him, and I even helped him demo a game or two at WonderCon this year. So for full disclosure. But the print and play, or the quick start rules, are actually set up in a way that we were able to run demos just using the quick start guide. Is this going to be something you're going to carry on into the final version of the game, the quick start rules, or are you going to put it like in a mini start guide or a quick rule book? Because they're really well done, really easy to use.
Right now, it's just planned as a print and play. Okay. So that won't go away. I mean, when the game's out and everything else, the free rules will still be up online. And then for full disclosure, you were actually the first person to actually play the game.
Yes, winning.
When we were still working on it, like just bare bones working on it, you were the first victim of the game.
And we had a good time with it. So let me ask you some specific questions of the game now. The D10 system. Not a lot of games are using it. It seems like some are more leaning towards that way as the newer games come out. But why did you go with the D10 system?
Because I think it's a fair system than the D6 system. It's not as popular, but again, you've got a 10% chance of doing something instead of 16.67 chance of doing something. I think it's a more fair rule. So,
for those of you that don't know what a D10 is, it is a 10-sided die. Just people don't know. So,
look like this.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Is that one of the ones for the Kickstarter?
No, I don't have one of those on me. No, for the Ogre convention, we did a D10 also. But no, that's just, I think it's the Chessex dice.
Which is cool. So, all right. So, Kickstarter funds, I'm putting together my faction.
Yes.
What are my limitations to putting together my faction? The first thing that I need to keep in mind when I'm looking at models to add to my purchase.
As a designer or as a player?
As a player. Remember, I'm not big on the painting so much as if I have the time, I'll get to it. But other than that, I might be playing Primer for a while.
Well, that would be better than normal. So what you'd want to do is imagine this is your D&D party. Imagine this is your adventuring party that you're going to go out into the wilderness with and try and slay dragons. You want a well-balanced party. So if you're pulling, again, you're not having a lot of miniatures on the table. So if you've got 4 fighters and you don't have a healer, you're going to be in trouble. If you don't have a healer, you're going to be in trouble. So you really want the fighter, the healer. We have 5 different classes. We have ranged, we have melee, we have blood magic, which is kind of a cool magic, we have pure magic, and then we have an intrigue one, which is more like your thief. Their goal is to get around the table and do different objectives like that. So you really, if you can, want to pull something in with a lot of people, that have a lot of different abilities. So, and you can't forget your healer, because if you get into combat, it's hard, it's fast, and you're going to die.
Okay. So, with your Kickstarter, you're getting for the specific levels that involve building a crew or a warband. I'm getting a rule book, depending on what level I might get to. Yeah. I'm getting a 10-point army, or 10-point.
Yeah. So what a 10-point army is, it's not like the points that you're going to field on the battle. Each model in the Kickstarter has its own point cost. Minotaurs are 3, Hodgins are 2s, most things are 2s, definitely humans are 1s. So then that tells you how many points. It gives you basically a score. Where, okay, I've got 10 points, so I want 3 Minotaurs, that's 9 points, and I can get a 1-point model, so I'll get a human barbarian or something like that.
Wait, I can get 3 Minotaurs?
You get 3 Minotaurs and a human. Ooh.
Oh, there's so much Minotaur.
That's a lot of tar.
That's it.
On Kickstarter.
So I've noticed your add-ons. These are something that I hadn't looked at the Kickstarter exclusives before. The dice. How many dice am I getting to add on for my purchase?
Oh, dude, I've checked that so many times. I couldn't even tell you offhand. I'm
okay.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I should have told you what I was going to ask, but we kind of did this off the cuff, guys.
No, it's not you. I'm sorry. You know what? It's funny. The night before we launched, it was like we were launching on Monday morning at 12:01, and at like 11:15, I'm like, I still don't like that price, and I'm changing it as we're about ready to go on live. And I'm like, oh.
Okay, I got it up right now. Actually, you're going to get 5 of the custom dice with the Parallax logo as the 10 for $10 add-on, which is a good price for dice. That's pretty good.
I thought I did 2 for $5, so that's even better. Okay.
Yeah. And I can add on a measuring tape, a custom measuring tape. Is it going to be one of the mini measuring tapes or one of the larger standard size comparable to the GW ones?
It's like a 16-footer, so it's a big one.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And I just realized this actually as I'm looking at the Kickstarter that one of the options is to add mats by Mars.
They are. Yeah.
I was not aware of that. You did not tell me that. Mars hasn't mentioned it to me at all, and I talk to that guy at least once a week.
Do you read your email?
Oh yeah.
There may have been an update talked about that. So,
Email. Oh yeah. Yeah, the email.
There's 5 different designs, and what's kind of cool is we put our logo on it, and they have the Math by Mars logo on it too. Don't get me wrong. And
No.
it's $35, including shipping, so it's cheaper actually than the regular Math by Mars.
Yes, I was going to say his prices are not that great on the website that he's got, but I'm going to tell you guys personally, having seen these mats on the table for a couple of tournaments at Kingdom Con, having actually gotten to feel them and see how well made these are. Not only do the graphics look great on these mats, the terrain looks great, the minis look great. It's really complementary to whatever you're playing, and the different styles that he's got available is pretty awesome. So that's a great deal right there for the mats.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's one of the add-ons. There's the contract cards. I mean, anything, if you don't want to buy one of the starters, there's a $99 one, which is going to get you the 10-point army and the rule book. There's $175, which is going to be the 20 points, which is basically the 2-player one. It also gets you the contract cards and a couple other things.
Yeah. There's a model. I'm not sure if this is going to be a finished model or yet, but it's on the Kickstarter. It's near the bottom of how this works, and it's like a snake thing with tentacles coming up.
Oh, that's the drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our Beholder.
When is that coming out?
We haven't started really sculpting that one yet. That is going to be sculpted by Chris, who did our elephant guys and also our dog creatures. So I know he started on it, but that's going to be one of the bad guys. So
Rad.
That's more for the RPG stuff. We could do it as a scenario too. But I mean, that could definitely be a stretch goal if we want to do that. But
okay,
cool. So that would be our version of the Beholder. So
yeah. So there's. Now you went very easy on this. You weren't one of those Kickstarters that went crazy and did a million different backer levels. You kept it pretty sane. Let's see, you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 backer level, 5 different levels to back the game.
Technically there aren't, but yes, because the $5 one for some reason, and the $99 one, and
oh, you're right.
They screwed. Well, they screwed up being me. And for some reason, when you bought shipping, no matter how you bought shipping, it charged you $15. So I closed those down and then made new ones that didn't charge you. So
that's right. There's 4 levels. There's actually 4 levels, which is considerably it's considerably small for the amount of backer levels that a lot of games will have backer levels that go into the thousands of dollars or start at some ridiculous amount like $2. You managed to keep this very nice and tight. I've actually got to convince Jessica to let me go to the 175 backer level just so that I can play with a friend or two.
You need to go to the 250 level, and then you can design a model.
Oh, that's true. The 250 level, and I can design a model after my wife. What? But no,
Jessica, you're doing it for her.
It's true. Love is a many convoluted thing.
I'm not doing it for me, honey. I'm doing it for you. I want to design a model after you because I love you.
So,
but it's the elephant.
So I know that me and you had talked back and forth on pledge levels and stuff before, and I actually kind of like where you went with it. It's very clean. It's very just straight to the point. I know it took you quite a while, but how many different versions of these backer levels do you think you went through before you decided, you know what, this is it, this is what it's going to be, and this is what I have to live with as far as backer levels go?
Well, I was adamant, and April that I was done, and that I had everything perfectly worked out. And that was, I think, version 723. And it was perfect, it was good, and I was proud of it. And I put it onto a couple of Kickstarter boards going, hey, look at this, look at this. It's so awesome. And they looked at it, and it chewed me up and spit me out. I mean, there was just nothing but negativity, which is good. I mean, I try to have honest feedback, and people just feeding into it. So,
that's...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So they gave me a lot of advice about, you know what, nobody, because I had it where instead of doing it like this, where you do the add-ons and you choose what you want to buy, I had it okay, so if at $10 you get this, at $20 you get that, at $30 you get this, and they build up on each other. And they're like, well, what if I don't want to buy that? What if I just want to buy one model? And I'm like, well, you can't buy just one model. And they were right. It was a dumb way to go. So we sculpted it and restructured it. And even like the day before, because I had the preview up there, and somebody commented going, I don't understand your levels. And I'm like, how do you not understand this?
English is hard for some people, dude.
But I mean, I'm just sitting there looking, I mean, like it says, buy this to get this. It's called the starter level. And they're like, well, I don't understand what a starter level is. And I'm like, cool. So then I changed it to buy what you want. I'm like, because that's pretty simple. Buy what you want. So that's the $5 level now, the buy what you want level.
Yeah, it works really good. So let me touch on a personal note here now. A lot of the Kickstarter guys that I've talked to before in the past and that I still talk to these days, they've always mentioned that the key to doing this and doing this successfully has been their support at home, not just their backers at home, the wife and family supporting what they're doing and letting them go with it and just kind of chase that dream. Now, have you found that kind of just unparalleled support at home?
Yes.
So if I called your wife and I said, what's going on with Parallax? She's not going to act like I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it's funny because, whenever you put on one of these things, especially something that's taking up so much of your life, there is some family give and take with it. More take than give. And there's definitely some, are you done with it yet? Are you done with it yet? So she was happy for me to finally get it up. I mean, the first thing we did really well, and she was excited about that. And I try not to share the highs and lows with her every day because I know she gets tired of hearing about it. But no, she's definitely supportive. I mean, she's happy when I'm happy about it. She's happy that we're finally up. She's happy that we're finally doing this. So if you call my house and ask her what was going on, she could tell you, I think it's doing okay.
There's an elephant in the living room for 6 months. I don't know.
Can you tell them to stop cutting stuff on the table?
That's great. And a lot of these guys that I've talked to that have had successful Kickstarter, even the guys that haven't succeeded, they said one of the key things to get beyond it and to deal with it and to kind of move on with it is that support at home. And that's good. I'm glad that you got that. And you've got such a...
I mean, people don't realize, I don't think, that when you sign up for Kickstarter, or when you're creating a Kickstarter, every time somebody backs it, you get an email. Every time somebody unbacks it, you get an email. Every time somebody increases their pledge, you get an email. Every time somebody decreases their pledge, you get an email. So, I mean, it's sort of like, hey, this is, and I mean, it keeps going back and forth, like, this is, okay. So some days I'll be, woohoo, and other days I'll be, get away from me. So it definitely is an emotional roller coaster ride. Lately, it's kind of been a flat ride.
Yeah, you had a really good run in the beginning, which is great. I mean, you are staff pick right now.
Yeah, we got that second day, which is pretty awesome.
You are literally just under $10,000.
We were 98.18 this afternoon.
You're currently 99.12 right now.
Woohoo! So,
which is great. And there's still 23 days to go, guys, so there is no reason to not back this because rent's due at the end of the month and you have a couple days after.
Yeah, we didn't want to end on September 11th, so we ended on September 12th.
That might be a good move.
I just don't want. I just don't think it's right to end on September 11th. So.
That's a good point. So one of I asked some of the guys from the old Malifaux days, some things that I should be asking. They've always accused me of going easy on Kickstarter guys. So Joe actually provided me with some questions he wants me to ask you specifically.
Okay.
You might remember Joe Morales.
I might remember Joe Morales.
So
Okay.
one of the first things he wants to know is how large would a typical game or army be?
A typical game is 250 points. So a Minotaur, for example, the one, and you can see it from the all those sample warbands fit into a typical army. So I believe there's 5 or 6 models in one of those. So you're looking at 250 points for a typical army, which is about 5 models.
Okay. And one of the other things is he wants to know, is there going to be tournament support? Are you going to be trying to set up a tournament program?
Oh, hell yeah. I want a campaign and I want a tournament army. I want to do those. I mean, I think those are important for the community. It's a fun game, but it also can definitely be a tournament game, too. So the tournament games will be more pre-gen characters or characters with points. So we'll be able to we're figuring out some tournament rules right now. But yes, it will be a tournament game.
And one of the next things one of the other guys wanted to know is what kind of volunteer or demo program are you going to have going with this?
We haven't got that far yet. We want a demo crew, that's for sure, in the demo party. I mean, when I look at what Privateer did when they first started out, and some of the other companies like Malifaux, I mean, again, going back to community, it's all about the community. But yeah, we want a demo core who can actually teach the game and do it. And then we probably offer, like most people, like money to get more models and stuff like that. But we want to do some sort of challenge coins for whatever our core is going to be and everything else.
One of the names for your volunteer crew could be the Devoids, because it's all humans. Huh? Huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. What's one of the other questions is, will the future FAQ and errata be online and done in a quick manner? I guess, is there going to be like a year between updates and stuff is one of the concerns.
No, the design of this game is to make it a living game. So as things change, updates will be pretty quick. So, and there will be an online FAQ. So, no, it won't be years in between. You're seeing 3 years, nor are we going to go to a V2 right away or anything else. This is, again, it's a living game. It's definitely going to have its highs and lows. But no, we're committed to making sure it's a smooth ride.
Okay.
One of the other things we're going to be doing is opening the forums up probably even before the end of the Kickstarter, because that way people can already start voicing their opinions, what they like and don't like. That way we can already start getting the feedback and information.
Okay. And what are the future releases we're going to be able to look forward to in the next coming months and year as far as Parallax goes as a living, growing game?
In the near future, we're going to be seeing at least one more Minotaur, which is already in the works. We're going to be seeing 2 more humans, one for the tier, one for the devoid. Faction-wise, our next faction would probably be an underwater race with something like octopus heads, maybe Cthulhu-like. That would be probably one of our next ones.
Fish people. Remember, I wanted you to do fish people.
Well, my co-developer, Alex, really wants hippo people. That's not going to happen. Sorry, Alex. No hippos. But we're definitely going to be seeing those. We're also going to be seeing the Spindler race, which is a spider race.
I was hoping that you would say that. That sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, they're going to be the half humans, half spider type thing. It's going to have the body of the human. It's sort of like a minotaur, but only instead of the bottom of a horse, it would have the bottom of a spider.
Wow, that's going to be a sick looking model.
I hope so. Already started designing it, so yeah. Those are the 2 next races. And then don't forget, there's also other things that may be coming through the portals, the runic pools, things that we haven't seen yet.
I was going to ask you, are you going to try and get some novels written or some small books kind of to go along with the universe? Give us a little bit more depth into them?
At some point, we've already talked to a couple writers about actually doing some novels for it. They'd probably be released online free, and they would talk about the world, not only what happened, because the world broke apart for 1,500 years. So the background is the story of the world is that magic was running rampant, and the world basically couldn't keep up with it. So the Hodges, the elephant, without telling anybody, decided to split the world into two. One of magic and one of science, basically. So all the people who did magic went to one world, all the people who were without magic stayed on another world. So for 1,500 years that happened, and then they came back together, and that's where we are now, basically, when the world feels itself enough to come back together. So it would be interesting to do storylines on what happened on both those worlds to get us where we are now.
Nice. Okay, so one of the last questions that the guys had, are there going to be any army faction books or campaign books releasing models for each faction?
That's a great question, and right now the answer to that is no. Right now it's going to be the regular book, and because it's a pre-gen, so many things you're going to be able to generate yourself. I'm not sure how much we're going to do that, and what we do, we probably do online for free, to be honest. Campaign books and things like that would come out maybe once a year, if that, with just some of the really cool gens. But our goal really is to be community oriented. So what we may do is look for people who had some of the most coolest and original free gens who are worth seeing and put those up online for free for people to download. So again, it builds around the community.
So the rule book, is it going to be just straight rule books, text with a couple graphics in it and some idea of diagrams and stuff, or is it going to be a fully illustrated, fully fleshed out kind of artistic? Cool. Is it going to be kind of like is it going to be one of those books where it's a rule book, but you kind of want to show it off because of the amount of artwork in it and the different things involved in it?
It depends on how we, to be honest. Because artwork costs money.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if that question made sense, but
we've got as much art as we can. We've got some really cool art, and we're going to continue to get art. And one of the nice things is, and it's funny that, like, before you do your Kickstarter and before everything else happens, you're hunting down artists and you're hoping that somebody will work for what you can pay. And some do and some don't, and some really overcharge, but you pay it anyway because you just want something in your book. And then after the Kickstarter hits, I've been hit up by like 10 different artists, all of just amazing quality, who are doing like video games which are out of this world. And they're like, yeah, I'll do concept art. And I'm like, well, what do you charge? And they tell me, and I'm like, really? Whoa. And so it's so funny that once you're into it, so many other opportunities open up for you. So I really want to say yes, we'll be doing some cool stuff about that. It's not going to be an ugly book, that's for sure, because I don't want ugly.
No. I didn't mean like an ugly book. I just meant, is it going to be just a rule book, or is it going to be something more?
It's going to hopefully be more. It's going to be something you're proud to show. Like people look at it and go, oh, cool. We're also doing a bit smaller format, so it's not an 8.5 by 11. It's a 6 by 9. So it's more of a trade paperback size. And I like that better because when you're gaming, I don't want to have to haul around a huge book with me. I want to put something on the table that I can look through, thumb through, and it's easy to manage, not something that I'm going, oh my God, if I can't beat you on the table, I'm going to beat you off the table with my book.
You mean you don't want to carry around a 10 by 8 freaking codex and then the supplement and then the war guide and then the actual rule book on its own?
If I want to lift weights, I'd go to a gym. I don't want to game for that. So yeah. But you see some of the preview, and I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, there's still definitely some areas that we go to. But when you look at the Kickstarter even, I mean, it doesn't look plain Jane.
No, and I've been following this from the beginning, and I just keep seeing it get better and better and better. So I have no doubt this is going to be something I want to show off. But I know that there's a lot of people that are wondering, and that's, for some reason, I've noticed a trend in gamers. I don't know if you've noticed it or how in tune you are to this type of thing, but people don't just care about the components that they're getting, like the models or the pieces that come with the game. They care about the rule book condition and artwork. They care about the box art. They care about a a crease in the rule book or a poster that came with it that was folded incorrect. You know, people care about superficial things now when they back a Kickstarter by a game. That's at least that's something that I've noticed with the people that I've talked to and the groups that I follow is this attention to detail that seems, in my opinion, kind of pointless, but I know that it's something that people are starting to care about.
But it's not, I mean, not trying to contradict you at all, but it's not pointless because people are paying money for it. I mean, why should they get anything less from a Kickstarter than they get off the shelf at their local game store? And why should they expect less? I mean, when I did the Kickstarter looking at it, I don't look at it from a point of view of business, although some of it is. I look at part of it from the point of view of, if I'm buying a Kickstarter, what do I want to get? What would I be unhappy with? Like, when we did the Kickstarter for the Ogre, people only spent money on blister packs. And people are like, what are you putting blisters for? Just put them in a baggie. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to get in the baggie. I'd want to get in the blister pack. I want to know that the person who did it cared about it. I don't want just some crud that somebody threw into a bag. I mean, I paid $20 for this. I want to know that it's $20 that somebody cared about. Not $20 of, oh, cool, whatever. So I'm handling the whole game with that mentality. I care about the game. I care about the end user. I want people to be happy with it. Dan and a couple other people almost had to hold me down to make me not do what I wanted to do and offer a money-back guarantee on the Kickstarter. The original goal, and I think you and I may have talked about it too, was to say if you bought at the $99 level or higher and you weren't happy with it, you could send it back to me and I would refund your money.
Oh, sweet, darling, we can get you a custom model and I can send it back.
That's right, pretty much. You can be part of the beta, and I will. If you decide that you want your $250 back, because you have to make rent, just send it back and I'll give it to you.
Or you can just pay rent.
But I mean, because that's how strongly I felt that I love my game. I love my game, and I want my end users to love my game. And if they're not loving the game, then they shouldn't be backing it. You know, you shouldn't have to back something you don't love. You should get something and go, wow, I've got so many things in my garage that I back. I'm like, I'm never going to play this thing. What the hell did I buy this for? I don't want this to be one of those games.
Yeah, I've had one of those months this month where I've been backing Kickstarters and Jessica keeps asking me, why, what is this? And I forget what I backed, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it'll be fun.
I've got one of those in the garage that I haven't even opened yet. And like, why did you buy them? My wife's like, why'd you back it? I'm like, well, because I like the guys who are doing it, and they seem cool. So I backed it, and then afterwards I looked at it, and I'm like, I'll never play this. It was still sitting in the same box it was in the garage when I got it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been feeling. But I will say this. As far as your rule writing goes, out of all I've backed a lot of Kickstarters, and I've read a lot of rules, and I get a lot of play stuff, and I get a lot of stuff that people want me to look at for them, and yours are by far the easiest to understand and the most concise.
It's because I'm simple.
Well, I know that.
So I write rules that I can understand.
I mean, honestly, I have gotten rules. I have a game that I was given to run demos and play test, and the rules were so convoluted and had components in the box that never got explained that when I contacted the creator, he admitted to me more than once that he actually does not like showing his rules to people because he doesn't understand them.
Awesome.
And that's a game that he released and successfully funded on Kickstarter, and he doesn't like to demo it either because the demo is so much more difficult because of how he wrote the rules.
No, ours aren't like that. I think, and the nice thing is most people who've been showing it to have no idea how to play these games or have never played a miniatures game before, and they still picked it up within like 10 minutes. So we've done something right on that. And then the one thing that Dan keeps hammering into me is I hate range combat. Always have. I mean, it's the silliest thing in the world to me on the miniatures table. I can be going towards you and just be shot and never make it into hand-to-hand.
Wait. I'm gonna call bullshit. I've played miniatures game with you on more than one occasion where you took advantage of your ranged combat.
Oh, I will.
And smoked me from 26 inches away before I had a chance to move my models, and then you asked me if I was still playing. before you screamed domination.
But I hate it. I use it, but I hate it. It's the dumbest thing out there. Like the Arcanists for that one game that we play. What was the Warcaster, or not the Warcaster, but the
Rasputina?
Yeah, she was awesome. Mark 1. But yeah, she could do all those things. You should ask Jake, because the first game him and I played, he kept putting people on top of a building. And so I kept using her blow to knock him back off the building. And every time I did it, he took damage. But I'd use the other things to set it up so he couldn't get around any other way. So he had to go over, and every time he went over, knocking him over. So I killed his caster by doing that.
Yeah, that was a good game.
But our ranged combat rules are pretty harsh. They're still fair, but you're hopefully not going to die to ranged combat. It'd be good.
I don't think that ranged combat is something that I ever actually used all the times that we played it or the times that I demoed it. Because I was always... My favorite thing to do is, being a Gremlin player, is to just charge at things.
Yeah. And that's why you never won. You're a Gremlin player. And then one of the really cool aspects, which Corey had a huge hand in, if not almost the whole entire hand. Corey Briggs, by the way, was one of your listeners. So he designed this part of the game for me. So when you're doing ranged combat and you shoot and you miss, you shoot into hand-to-hand. The way it's determined on if you hit when you shoot into hand-to-hand is you roll your dice. If you have equal amount of hits and misses, you miss. If you have more hits than misses, you're going to hit your target. But if you get more misses than hits, you're going to hit actually one of your own friendlies.
Oh, wow.
So it's randomly determined like that. So Corey deserves props on that. Because we tried it all sorts of different ways. Of course, like, have you ever thought about doing it like this? I'm like, no, but that works really well. So
that's actually kind of brilliant on Corey's part.
It is. It's a really cool mechanic.
Wow, that's actually really good. I had not thought about that.
He deserves a lot of props.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had never tried the range combat. I never actually thought about using it. Now I'm just reading it right now, and that actually makes a lot of sense. I kind of like that.
Awesome.
So I think we've kind of gone at the, what are we doing at? We are at just over an hour 20. So.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Late in the night. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to impart to the audience? I'm going to upload this to my main YouTube channel, by the way. So I'm going to replay this tomorrow. On the main channel, and I'll link it then again too. I linked it on the Facebook page, but for the viewers and the people thinking of backing, final thoughts.
Here are my final thoughts. Take a look at the Kickstarter. If you like what we offer, back it. If you have any questions with it, email me, and I get back to you as soon as possible. I want you to be happy with the game. We made a game that we thought we'd be happy with, and we are. I love the models. I love the gameplay. I love the creation of the rules. I love to be able to fix the characters. So I want you to love it as much as I do. So if you do, please back it. And if you don't, I understand. And hopefully we'll get a game in of it.
That's good, guys. So I suggest you take an honest, good look at the Kickstarter. I'm going to link it down at the bottom when I post this tomorrow. But I think you guys should really give it a shot and take a look at it. If you're not completely sure about backing it, a $5 pledge is a $5 pledge, and you get a lot of gratitude, a lot of thanks, and you help this guy get one step closer to his dream. So something to think about.
Thank you.
And, it's great talking to you, Adam. Got a game with you soon. I miss you, and
yeah, it's good.
Good luck.
And thank you for your viewers who are thinking about backing it, and I appreciate it. And I guarantee it's something that we're all going to enjoy together. And that there is a lot of listening and there's a lot of communication. So it's a community. So Thank you again. Thanks, Billy. We'll be playing soon.
Yeah, no problem, dude. So I'm gonna sign off, guys. Happy gaming, and may the dice always roll in your favor. Parallax, Warbands. Give it a look on Kickstarter. Back it.